And today I am going over one of my favorite topics. And actually, for some reason, it's controversial. And the only reason it's controversial is because it makes a crap load of money. So if you guys want to tune in today, we are talking about how to use the go for no method and how to give systematic lowball offers where you don't get kicked out and get your wholesale deals accepted. My name is Rick, and I've been wholesaling for 21 years. And my only regret is it really took me probably 5 to 7 years to understand this concept I'm going to explain in this video. So what I want you to do is sit back, watch this video, and I'm going to hop right into it, and I'm going to explain this to you. And if you've never heard this before, it's going to really open your eyes. And if you truly want to be a wholesaler, not a realtor, this video is perfect for you, especially if you have little to no experience. So before I get into it, there's 2 ways you can contact with me. Number one, in the comment section, ask a question. The reason I do these Mondays so I can interact with more of you. The only dumb question is the one you don't ask. Ask a question, and hopefully I'll put it on there and we will answer it. The second way to get in contact with me is, let me put it in here. Let's see here. Let me copy it. We do a mastermind one-on-one, and what I'll do is I'll post it in my first comment here. And if you want to connect and you want to work with me one-on-one, if you want to go over a deal, if you want to go over mindset, heck, if you just want to talk to me, this is the best way to do it. It's first come, first serve. And I do that and right after we do the teaching section. So let's get into it. Let's talk about go for no. I see you all on there. Feel free to use the chat and comment with each other. Everybody's here usually to learn how to wholesaling. I do not teach real estate agent 101. Go find another guru for that. I don't believe in any of that stuff because I am a wholesaler at heart. So we're talking about going for no. And like, what does Rick mean by going for no? And honestly, it took me years to understand this and a lot of pain, guys. I mean, a lot of pain. And here's what I found out, okay? The go for no, it's for real. Now, this not only relates to wholesaling, this can be a big portion of your life. And I'm going to explain why. You see, first of all, I got to set the ground rules. So if you're using the go for no, this is what it's going to eliminate out of your life. So if you use my method of go for no, and I'm going to explain it in complete detail in this video. Number one, you'll never have to spend more than 10 minutes on a comp. And honestly, if you spend more than 10 minutes on the comp, please ask yourself, why am I spending so much time on a comp? Let me give you an example. If I had 10 people said, yeah, I might be interested in selling my house. Do you really believe all 10 of those people are motivated sellers? Odds are no, maybe 1 or 2, on a great day, maybe 3. So if I run comps and you guys spend, you spend 30 minutes or more because I watch you do it all the time. I used to do it. If I spend 30 minutes on running a comp for 10 people, that's what? 300 minutes, 300, that's like 2.5 hours for people that are most likely not even going to take your offer. So stop wasting time doing comps. If you use my go for no method, I'm going to teach you how to do it in reverse order. So most importantly, you snuff out motivated sellers, people that actually need to sell their house. They don't want to sell their house. I'm going to teach you the distinction between that today. Number 2, you got to stop like running comps for properties you're not even going to buy. So if you understand this, I'm here to save you from comp hell. Honestly, the only people who should comp a property more than 10 minutes are realtors because they have to get the perfect number right because they have to sell their client on how much they're going to make to cover their real estate expenses, the commissions. We don't do that as wholesalers. So I don't know why you guys spend so much time on comps. The second thing this is going to allow you to do, I told you to do 3 things, is you're going to avoid negotiation fatigue. What do I mean by that? A lot of you go on like marathons trying to negotiate with people. I used to because I was constantly trying to soften the blow with the offer I was going to make. And honestly, I found out I wore out my sellers, I wore out myself, and I spent a lot of energy spinning my wheels. And honestly, if you use my go for no method, it's going to teach you how to get to the point and how to avoid the negotiation fatigue. Have you ever been in such a long negotiation? Like you can even equate this to a breakup if you're young. Like you ever try to break up with someone like honestly, you'd be better off just to get it over in like 5 minutes. I know it sounds harsh, but at the end of the day, if you were going to leave that person and decide they're no good for you, why would you spend 2-3 hours breaking up with them? Negotiation's the same thing. Either you have to get to a point or you have to move on. And some of you think the longer you make the negotiations, the better it's going to be for you. It's actually the opposite. I learned this the hard way. Honestly, wholesaling has been an incredible opportunity for me to study the human psyche. And the go for no is 20 plus years of my experience dealing with motivated sellers. Now, the third thing, and boy, do I hang my hat on this one. I'm going to show you how to stop playing realtor with wholesaler ambitions. That's right. I have no problems with realtors. I love realtors to death. But we all know realtors deal with people who want to sell their house. Wholesalers deal with people who need to sell their house. And there is a very firm distinction between the two. Every now and then they do cross paths, but for the most part, let's be honest with you. Realtors hate us. They think we're stealing business from them. They don't understand us. And it is the Hatfield McCoy constant battle and feud. So if you feel like you're being somewhat of a realtor and you really want to be a wholesaler, this video is for you. I'm telling you, I see so many people every day in the real estate investing arena, and they say, I'm in a wholesaler. And I start talking to them. They sound like realtors. It means you don't understand wholesaling and you're trying to use realtor terminology to be successful in wholesaling. The reality is, honestly, if you got your real estate license, you already got your back pinned against the wall because you got trained by licensed and professional realtors in an area of wholesaling, which they have no business in doing. It's just the truth. So if you're okay overcoming those three things, this video is for you. So let's jump into it without further ado. And so if we're going to use the go for no method, I want you to think in your head, why would I come up with the go for no method? And by the way, there's a great small book written for it. I don't even have it with me. Anyways, I will give you a recommendation. There's a book called Go for No. It's like an hour read at most. And it aligns with the exact principles. I just apply it to wholesaling. So I'd like to tell you I invented everything. I don't. But I did come up with the phrase go for no in wholesaling because here's the reality. The reason you got to use go for no is because you guys are all doing this. You're going for a yes. Once again, you're in realtor world when you go for a yes. I guarantee you. Think about this. When a realtor goes on a listing, after they've spent hours and hours on comps and they've talked to their broker, they've talked to everybody, they talked to other realtors, they come up with the perfect number and then they put a padding above it to incite their seller on how much money they're going to make on it. And their goal is to get them to say yes, even though 90% of realtors will tell you their initial listing is overpriced. Even when the client says, no, I don't want to go that high. They want to impress them and they want to get it signed because once they sign, then they're obligated. Now, when you go to wholesalers, our acceptance is on the contract, the purchase and sales agreement. So what most of you do, are you doing this right here? You keep going for the yes. Why do you keep going for a yes? Honestly, I want a yes on my contract, but that should not be your initial response. You see, let's break it down further. If I say you need to use the going for no method, and all of you are going for a yes, how did you come up with this philosophy? Number one, a lot of you use realtor mentality on it. You're trying to get the listing signed. We're not trying to get a listing. We're trying to get a purchase and sales contract signed so we can sell the contract. So you guys came up with what they call the MAO. And you guys can put it in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. It is just an acronym that has come up, and basically an MAO stands for maximum allowable offer. You guys have been programmed. You have been brainwashed in thinking this is where you need to wind up with the seller. And I'm here to tell you, it is your worst possible case scenario, in my opinion. So the reality is you have a range, and your range looks like this. You have like a bottom line number, which honestly, you'd buy the house up to $1. So it could be anywhere. And then you have a number called your MAO. Like that's the most I can pay. And if I hit that number, I'm out. So what do most wholesalers do? They calculate the MAO. So if I say the MAO is $250,000, guess what you just brainwashed your head in? 250. I can't pay more than 250. 250. I'm going in 250. I'm going to get this done. Rick, it's 250 or broke. And what do you guys do? You knock like 10, 15,000 off of it thinking you're going to start. So if your MAO is 250, right? And then you start at like 235, 240, where are you going to go? There's nowhere to go with this. You can't make it work. The problem is you've been programmed to focus on the MAO and you brainwash yourself because you think you have to get a yes. Because the reality is, if I don't get that, they're going to turn me down and they're going to reject me. So first and foremost, to understand the going for no, you have to stop making MAO offers. Just cut it out. Yes, you should know what your MAO is, but you should be nowhere near it to start an offer for a wholesale deal. Let me repeat that. Calculate what your maximum allowable offer is. And if it's 250, who taught you to take 10 or 15 grand off and start as your negotiation? It's ridiculous. It's the worst thing you could ever possibly do. Okay. When you do that, here is what you're doing. Here's the reality of what you're doing. Guys, this is beaten in your brain and you got to understand this. MAO is for retail buyers, meaning on market properties, AKA MLS. There's plenty of guys who will sell you this crap all day long. It doesn't work in wholesaling. Here's the reality is if a property is on the market for $299,000 and not $299,900. Most realtors go, we can offer you $287,500. That's the most my client can pay. That's our MAO. And somehow a lot of wholesalers use that exact same method when they get to wholesaling. That works for retail, but like even I got a strong argument against that. The reality is if you lowball a retail offer, they just shut you down and move on to the next. That's the truth. That's why I don't recommend doing it. That's why I don't mess with retail properties. And honestly, if I want something retail, I play the MAO game. Now, if I want a great deal and sell a contract, wholesale it, or do whatever I want to do, the reality is I can't play the MAO game because there's nowhere to go. Think about this. If you offer the MAO, say it's $250 and you offer $237,500 and they reject you, what are you going to do now? Do you really think like another $5,000 is going to change the outcome of this negotiation? It's not. You are approaching it completely backwards. Honestly, so many times you guys say, well, okay, 237 when you take 242. And then here's what they do. No, they know they have you. They know you're going to go up. They know you got more to play around with. And you are now chasing the seller and you don't even know if they're motivated. And you think you're wholesaling, but honestly, you're just retailing. You're playing AKA realtor. And so many dispositions companies play this game and they can do it. That's their business. But as a true wholesaler, you've got to get the best price from your seller. And you only can focus with, in my opinion, off-market properties. That's where you're gonna have the best success. Try to argue me on that. I guarantee there's better deals on that. And you have to deal with motivated sellers. So here's the first thing you need to do. Understand MAO is the max number and you shouldn't even be close to it to begin with. How do you negotiate that? That's like walking in a showroom and go, okay, it's a $50,000 car. I'll give you $49,500. Like, it's embarrassing. You should be embarrassed with your first number. I'm sorry. They need cash quick. It is an even exchange. You can't make somebody sell your house. No one's just going to give you the house. That's the reality. So for you to have success with this method, understand this. Stop trying to guess your seller's maximum allowable offer that you're going to present. Stop guessing because you're never going to get it right. It could be way above. Here's the reality, guys. If you stop guessing, none of it, if I had like this ESP gene or like I could read people's minds, I'd be a gazillionaire. Very few people have it. And the ones that say they have it, they're usually full of crap. So the reality is, if you don't know what it is, it's like playing poker or any card game with your friends. You have to play the game. And if you think you're going to guess the other person's cards, you're wasting your time. Imagine if you played poker and all you did was guess other people's cards. I got to figure if they're bluffing. I got to find out if they're holding a ace up their sleeves. It's hard. I suck at cards. That's why I don't really play it very well, or people just take my money. So you've got to understand this. So if you understand you have no telepathic ability to guess your seller's bottom line number, so your MAO, you're trying to match with their bottom line number. Do you understand how hard and impossible that is to do? You're wasting your time. Guys, I went through thousands and thousands of sellers before I had this epiphany, the go for no. You see, the truth is most sellers have the bottom line in their head. Let me know in the comments. I'm telling you, most sellers know exactly what their bottom line number is in their head. There is a few exceptions, don't get me wrong. But for the most part, they go into the negotiation knowing what their bottom line number is. Here's the problem. You're trying to guess what the least amount they'll take and give you a yes. And you have a conflicting statement right there. You want the least amount, but you want them to say yes. So you're going to have to make an offer that is going to invoke a response from them that's going to scare the heck out of you. Okay. So if you know you're not supposed to guess what your seller's MAO is. So the MAO is basically, your MAO is usually going to be their bottom line number, and you're trying to get them to correspond with a yes. Do you know how hard that is to do? Guys, I can't even figure out what my wife wants for dinner, much less what a seller wants for a number. So once I released this thing on my head where I'm going to try to figure out what they need, you go, no, they went to the Zillow number. They minused off realtors, commission, closing costs, and these repairs. And that's how they came up with the number. So you're 100% wrong. And some of them are way over. Here's the reality. They have it in their head, right? So do this right now. Stop trying to guess their number and just get it from them. Let me do a little exercise. Let me ask you this. If I make you an offer, say your house is worth 250, say that's the real tail number, and say I offer you a lower number. So, but say I offer pretty high. Say I offer you, making you an offer of 245, and I see this every day, by the way. You know what my thought as a seller? If I thought my bottom line number was 235, 240, and you overshot it, you know what they're going to say? I got a sucker on the hook, and they're going to turn around and play you as you trying to get their bottom line number. Because now you just exceeded their bottom line number. They go, well, he or she must have more to give. And now you are chasing the seller and you defeated the purpose of what you're supposed to be doing. You have to get it at a discounted price for you to sell your contract to a cash buyer. So suddenly you are now chasing the seller and they're baiting you into a number. And some of you actually pass your MAO. I don't even know how you do it. Who told you to do that? And you get emotionally charged like you're trying to win this bid, like you're trying to buy this incredible home for your family. You're not. If you're truly in it to be a wholesaler, to actually make a profit, stop playing this ridiculous game of trying to get a yes on your first shot. It's not going to happen, guys. It never happens. Honestly, I got enough data. I am like saving you the pain of the way this happens. So stop trying to get it from them. Stop trying to guess and get the number. Okay, Rick, how do I ask for the number? Well, let's not overcomplicate this. I would like to say this to every seller, and you all know you want to say this deep down. Mr. Seller, what's the lowest price you'll sell this house for? End of story. Just give me the rock bottom number. Honestly, if you think you ask that question, you get a positive response. Do you think you'd actually get a number? And number three, most importantly, you think you'd actually get the truth? You wouldn't. It would incite them, and the games would only begin at that point. Okay. So let's think about this. How do we go for a no? Like, how can I use Rick's theory here? Rick's theory is tried, tested, and true with a lot of experience behind it. A ton. Let me tell you how to do it. So all you guys know how to do MAO, maximum allowable offer. Let me make this real simple. I'm going to switch it on you. See, you have to think differently and you have to be unconventional as a wholesaler. Otherwise, you are nothing more than a fancy realtor. I got no problems with realtors. But when it comes to wholesaling, we are completely different in how we make our offers and how we do this. We're not going for listings. You're looking for the LAO. And all the LAO is this cute little acronym. I switched the M with an L, least allowable offer. Stop figuring out the MAO. Know your MAO. And honestly, if you're getting close to it, you got to ask yourself, do you really want to do this deal or not? Is it really going to make it worth your while? So when you do the least allowable offer, find out the starting point where you make an offer. Now, I'm not going to give you a number for it because it should hurt when you give the offer. And I'm not talking about physically hurt. It just makes you uncomfortable. Why? Because this is how the game is played. Ask me how I know. Guys, I have one of the most in-depth experience dealing with motivated sellers than anybody else in this industry. I've done it long. I've done it hard. I'm sure there's people with more experience, but I'm here to tell you, once I enacted this philosophy, my entire business changed. Everything got easier. The clarity was there and the deals got smoking hot. So if you want to figure out your least allowable offer, everybody wants some formula for this. There's not a formula. I'm not going to give it to you. Here's how you structure this offer. Ready? You simplify your offer to get a counter. That is your LAO. So if the property's worth 250, they're just doing stop offering 235, 232, 245. It's ridiculous. If you're that close to your MAO, that means if you get one no and you're going to get a no, I'm going to teach you how to get the no. You are going to pay retail for the property. You're going to come close to it and you're not going to make any money. So if you simplify your offer, the purpose of the go for no, I want you to understand this, is to incite a counter from your seller. Do you understand that? If we know we can't just say, hey, Mr. Seller, what's the cheapest you'll sell me this property? I mean, what number will you absolutely give it to me, your rock bottom price? You do that 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to get kicked out of the property and they're not going to take you seriously. You see, the minute you get a counter, the seller just gives you the information. Did you hear me that? They give you the information because they're so in shock with the number you gave them. You subconsciously triggered their mind to give you their lowest offer that they can walk away with. And here's how it usually goes. You ready for this? Rick, so 250. I go, listen, would you consider $150? They go, 150 for what? I mean, just 150 offer on the house. Are you crazy, Rick? That's ridiculous. And I fully expect them to say no. Listen, they say yes, I'm dancing on the ceiling, and it's happened a few times. And I'm always worried like they sold me a pig. But I expect them to reject me, so I'm not hurt by it. And my only job is to make sure I don't get kicked out of the property or get hung up on the phone. Do you understand that? That's it. What happens? I don't know, Rick. That's crazy. If that's an offer, just forget about it. I talked to my wife. We could never take anything below $210,000. Do you see what just happened? They gave me the information I was asking them for. I just had to find a way to have them pull it out. And guess what? I can do this all in a short amount of period of time. What used to take me hours and days, if not weeks, to pull this out. You see, when you get a counter on any wholesale deal or really any real estate transaction, the reality is this is when the negotiations begin when you get a counter. That's when the clock starts. That's when you got the shot clock going. Can we get this deal over the finish line? But if you guys attack this with your MAO, your maximum allow offer is close, number one, you got nowhere to go. And number two, you're going to drag this on weeks, if not months. My method, if you have little to no experience, your only goal is not to get kicked out of the house or get hung up on the phone. Now, if you go over to freewholesaling.com, which is a course me and my son teach all aspects of wholesaling, from start to finish, not only do your first deal to your first 100 grand, I teach you in detail how to use this method. So we don't have to figure that all in this video, but I'm just telling you the go for no approach. The idea is to give them an offer that borderline, it does insult them a little bit, but they give a counter response. Have you ever gotten in an argument with someone and they blamed you for something, or they go out and they go, Rick, I know you were out till 2:00 in the morning. My mom used to say to me, I'm like, no, I wasn't. I was in bed. I was in bed by 1:00. Yeah, but your curfew's 11. I go, dang it. She tricked me. So I kind of give my mom credit for like this tactic. It was just buried deep inside of me. And I'm here to tell you it works. Negotiations begin with a counter. So if you know that, then why drag on this like crazy process? The reality is most of you don't have the experience to have an intense negotiation, and you don't know how to deal with the rebuttals and the objections. And that's okay. I'll teach you all on how to do that at freewholesaling.com. The reality is though, if you use this method, if you have a truly motivated seller, it will work. And guess what it doesn't work on, guys? You ready for this? You know what it doesn't work on? It doesn't work on people that just want to sell their house. They get insulted and they never talk to you again. And honestly, I did you a huge favor by using the go for no method. I just saved you hours, if not weeks, months of grueling negotiations. I once had a seller drag me out so long. This is in year 2. I finally pinned her in a corner and she's like, Rick, that's it. I'm not selling to you. I'm just using you for the offer. I go, was that so painful? Like, just get to the truth. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm a big fan of you. So I want you to sell your house. But if you just told me that up front, I would have just given you an offer and moved on with my life. And this is what it's going to snuff out. The reality is a lot of you are messing around with people that aren't even motivated, and you want to know, go for no. It works really well on non-motivated sellers because they just get rid of you as fast as possible because you're so far away from the number they need. They don't even think it's worth time spending with you. And they're doing you a huge favor. So going for no not only gets you the best deal from a motivated seller, from a non-motivated seller, especially the realtor involved, you get kicked out of the door so fast, they'll do you a huge favor. They're telling you you're going to have to wait 6 months to a year for me to even consider an offer like that. So let's tell each other the truth here, because this is what we do on this channel. So why are you going for a yes when you go in for your first wholesale deal? Be honest with yourself, because a lot of you are using your old goggles that didn't work in your previous job, your previous schooling, and you've come here and say, listen, I get it. The matrix is screwed up. They've really got me thinking like an employee, and like employees think differently. And I got no problem with employees. God knows I was one long enough. But the reality is you are catered to get a yes. You ask somebody out, you want a yes. You don't want to be rejected. Actually, you should do it the opposite way, because you'll find a better person and a better fit for you if you take the time and vet people and find out, does their needs match yours? Now, when we talk about a motivated seller, why are you going for a yes? Here's the truth. I'm going to hit it with you. It's fear. Guys are scared. And I get it. And this was my deep down gut feeling. It's a feeling. It's not an emotion. It's a feeling. Why am I fearful? What am I fearful of? It's rejection. Like, let's get to the root of the cause. Most of you are going for that yes on the first shot, number one, because that's how you were trained. And if you were trained that way, it's wrong. And number two, you hate rejection. And you're going to have to get over that. Like, I am here to teach you to get over rejection. Rejection is much more prominent in wholesaling than acceptance. And if you can't make that distinction, you're going to struggle terribly in wholesaling. You see, realtors always go for the yes, and they don't stop till they get the yes. And they teach you, if you could break through that, you'll get it. But the reality is most realtors get a lot of no's. The ones that can handle more no's than yes usually succeed. There's no difference in wholesaling. It's just even more prominent than ever. Now, so if we know the truth, and that's what we're ultimately avoiding, because it's buried deep in your subconscious that you don't like rejection. I didn't like it, guys. I'm getting I am like converted wholesaler. I just had to go through the proven path of 20 years of this to really make a synopsis for you to teach you lessons so you don't have to take 20 years to learn what I did. Here's the truth of the matter. If you want to do the easy way now, I'm going to guarantee you failure later. Let me give you an example. If you decide to chase on-market properties with realtors, why? Number one, you probably bought a course for it. Fine. God knows there's a million of them out there. The reality is these types of methods, they seem really simple and easy, and it's like a no-brainer. That's why you bought the course. Number two, you have the sellers, all their information. You have their phone number. You have what their ask price is. You have all the pictures. The property's vacant. It sounds so perfect on paper. Why didn't I think of this myself? This is brilliant. Why am I chasing around with other wholesalers on off-market property going through all that charade when I can just go through a realtor and get exactly what I want? The reality is it sounds perfect up front. You buy the course, and usually in 3 to 6 months, you're going to find out why it has a massive failure rate, because you thought you could skip the hard work. And the truth of it sounds easy now. At the end, you're going to pay a big fat fee to someone that you'll probably never see again. And they told you about this massive success they have on MLS. They just send multiple offers, and it's just a numbers game. You send enough out, you'll make it work. And the reality is these properties are almost impossible to sell because they already got a retail listing on the MLS. They're all over Zillow. Like, honestly, the amount of people successful in this have an incredible experience level. They have a lot of funds. This is not a beginner category. And if you fall into this category, anything that seems easy, let's go over it. You want to do novations. You don't have to compete with wholesalers. It's a piece of cake. And you can sell the properties for retail. So you only got to get a slight discount. It's so easy. It sells a lot of courses. There's very little stuff that sticks in it. It's, in my opinion, a very advanced strategy. And I don't even like using it because there's so many pitfalls with it. Partnering up with a motivated seller is a recipe for a disaster. I can give you countless court cases on it. It's actually in the process of basically being stripped away from title companies used in the state of Florida. And there's so many other states following it because most sellers don't even know that you're doing a novation till the end. And that's how it winds up in a lawsuit. But I can go further. I can teach you how to sell your wholesale deals for retail. And that way you can buy them at higher prices and pay more for them. Really, do you really think that's going to work as a long-term strategy? Every now and then you can squeak out a property, but the truth of the matter is, if it's easy now, you're most likely going to lose your money in your investment in your education and finding out that strategy doesn't even work, which sucks even worse than the money. And then you got to go back and you got to find people like me and Zach to go back and tell you the truth and go, hey, guess what, Buttercup? You're going to have to suck it up. And guess what? You're going to have to do the hard work now. Here's the difference. Do the hard way now, meaning the go for no method. And it seems difficult up front. After a while, it's like a piece of cake, but you're just not used to it. And I'm okay with that because it took me years to adapt this philosophy. But when I get those hard conversations out of the way, when I attack with this quick but effective negotiating style, I get a faster result. I reduce the stress of the transaction. I don't burn out. I don't play realtor doing comps for hours on end. And I only work with people that are truly motivated, that need to sell their house. And guess what? I get successful deals. Now, not every deal works out, but if I do this method, it's a much faster line to having a profitable wholesaling business. And you know what? That method doesn't sell very sexy on a webinar or anything like that. But here's the thing I got backing me up, that I got 21 years experience of here telling you the truth. And anybody that really does this business for real will tell you the exact same thing. You have to learn how to have the hard conversations up front. And guys, you just don't do this lightly. Go over to freewholesaling.com. We teach you methodically how to do this, but it is highly effective. And if you get kicked out because you make a low offer, I almost guarantee you 90% of the time, you are dealing with someone that just wants to sell their house and they just did you a huge favor. Guys, listen, at the end of the day, it's your choice. Easy now, painful later, and then you're going to have to rediscover yourself, which a lot of people are doing in wholesaling right now. And if you guys didn't notice, like the social media trend, all the people that were telling you how to just kick butt in wholesaling over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, most of them are dwindling away. Why is that? Listen, anybody can show you how to do this business when the rocket ship's shooting to the moon. The real winners are the ones that stick with the business 20 years plus, the ones that grind it out. And we avoid, like, listen, if I have a method that works, I'm happy to share with you. But if it's borderline illegal and it's frowned upon by all title companies, insurance companies, lawyers, I'm not going to give you that method because you are going to be in financial jeopardy with legal issues, financial issues, and you shouldn't have to do that. So it's your choice. The reality is the easy way sells courses. That's the only reason you guys are presented with them. And to be honest with you, I've tried them all and I see all the pitfalls that go with them. If you guys knew what went into a novation, the legal paperwork you have to sign, you have a fiduciary responsibility to the seller. So how can you be the buyer if you're trying to buy it as cheap as possible? And then you got to record an open lien for like $100,000. Good luck with that with a judge. I'm just here to tell you, you have to look at the stuff. Guys, I used to buy all the shiny object syndrome stuff. If I bought 10 and maybe one worked out, I was happy. But the reality of the one even lasting a few years was far and few between. You guys just went through about a 5 to 7 year cycle of every guru in America selling you everything. And there's very little backing it up other than going around the country and selling the crap out of it. Listen, I'm all about people teaching you real estate, but honestly, the tried and true methods are the ones that are going to survive in the long run. And everybody else, there used to be a certain person that sold that had the most biggest, largest following, and now they don't even exist on the internet anymore. How is that? How the hell does that happen? Because you just follow the latest, greatest fad. They drive beautiful sports car. And guys, a sports car is not a sign of wealth. It's just a sign, in my opinion. Listen, if people want it and it makes them happy, I'm all for it. But if you're young and you're investing in a sports car, you don't understand how money works and you don't understand the compounding effect of it. That is not a way to prove people. Listen, the reality is the hard way, if you can muster it up and you can handle it, I'm going to be like that uncle and that father. It just tells you the truth. This is what you have to do to really forge to be a real wholesaler. And if you keep trying all these nicky-knack methods where you buy them at a slight discount and you think you're going to get someone to overpay for it, it's crazy. I want you to listen to this. Anybody who tries to tell you, I have a shortcut to wholesaling, tune them out. That's the same person that tells you, I'm going to show you how to get 6-minute abs. You know what's going to happen next week? Then you're going to get 5-minute abs and you're going to get 4-minute abs. Guys, everybody knows in the fitness and health business, there is no shortcut. So if you know there's no shortcut for that business, why do you think wholesaling is going to be any different? And I want you to truly understand that. Like, I passionately believe in this method. Guys, going for no is real simple. I'm just going to recap it for you, and then we're going to jump in and talk to each other. Going for no is very simple. It's very, very simple. It means simply, ready for this? Stop going for the yes. Okay. Lose your MAO. You are going to replace it with an LAO. And here's the most popular. Everybody asks me on this. Rick, how do I calculate the LAO? I'm not going to give you a math problem for it. Okay. Now I'll give you a handicap for it. So if the ARV was 250, that's true number, and you were going to offer 235, take 50 grand off of it on top of it. Whatever your number thinking, take a ridiculous number and take it off of it. Why? It is nothing more than a counter. And what happens? You want to simply get the counter, and think about this. This is when negotiations start. Okay. A counter, if you can get it subconsciously, which means they don't even know they gave it to you, they just kind of like spit it out. It's a reaction. You ever been in an argument with someone and like they incite you and you just start like, I just can't stand you anymore. And you go, oh, I didn't know that. Well, thanks for giving me that information. You're doing the exact same thing. You're just doing it in a nicer way. And when you guys get all like freaked out, when they like kick you to the curb, ask yourself, did I truly have a motivated seller that needed to sell their house? And because you know what, so why are you guys going for the yes? Because you fear the rejection. Do the hard work now, guys, and I will show you how to truly become a successful wholesaler. The reality is, it's a lot of work what we do, and you have to be really good at a lot of things. But I'm telling you, when you do all that hard marketing and you guys create these ninja lists and just incredible, you after the government list, the driving for dollars, reverse driving for dollars, and you get them and they go, man, listen, hey, Rick, I really need to sell this house. They're saying everything you need to go. Your civic duty at this point is to go for the no. And here's what I'm thinking. You're like, well, I don't have a lot of experience to do it, Rick. That's like scary. I don't know what to do with it. I'm here to tell you, the less experience you have, the better the result you're going to have, because you don't have like this pre-concept of negotiation. I always assumed negotiations were long and dragged out. I've had 2-hour negotiations on a wholesale deal because I didn't know how to get to the point and get to the end of it. If you use the go for no method, it's going to expedite that process. And if they're truly motivated, you'll find a number that works for both of you. But the minute you get the counter, you are truly on your path to getting a wholesale deal. And you got to understand that. So let's jump in the comments. First of all, if you guys want to learn more on how to do all this stuff, I put a simple little course together. It's 100% free. Don't freak out when you hear course. Just go over to, let's see here, freewholesaling.com right there. It's on the bottom there for you. And I go into depth on how to teach this, but we teach you about everything, how to get started in wholesaling, how to do it, how to get your first deal, and not only how to get your first deal, how to get you to your first 100K. So make sure you go over to freewholesaling.com and you check that out.